YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo, and there's another episode of Yo Hoops. We go through every NBA game every day. Today's Wednesday, April 9th, and we have a 10-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through every game, let you know which sides I like, and stick around because I have two highlighted selections for today. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we went 1 and 2 on our highlighted plays. First, we took the Cleveland Cavaliers laying 13.5 points against the Chicago Bulls. Josh Giddey was ruled out, and the Cavs dominated 135 to 113. Next, we took the New York Knicks on the money line against the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum hit the pull-up three to send the game into overtime, and the Celtics won it 119 to 117. We officially dropped this one, but it played out exactly how I thought. I'll let you guys know Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, or Kristaps Porzingis might play. They were all ruled active, and the line moved to Knicks plus 2.5 before game time. Last, we took the Phoenix Suns plus 10 points against the Golden State Warriors. Hey, this one was on me. I thought the Suns had one more in them, but the Warriors ran them out of their own gym, 133 to 95. New day, so let's get back in that win column and go 2-0 on our highlighted plays. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Boston Celtics in Orlando taking on the Orlando Magic. Magic are laying 6 points, and the total is 207. I keep having to look at this line to make sure I'm seeing it right. The Magic are the favorites. Boston does come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back with travel, but it still surprises me to see it priced like this. The Magic are on a back-to-back themselves. The Celtics fly in from New York, and that game last night went into overtime against the Knicks. A lot of guys were questionable yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tatum or Brown sit this one out. I'm looking at this one like the Magic are the favorites for a reason. Laying points at home, they're now 16 and 11 against the spread, fifth best in the league. The Celtics stacked another ATS win last night, but coming off a win, they're now 20, 37 and 1 against the spread, second worst in the league. I don't know if I'm rushing to the window to lay points with the Magic in this situation, but I do think it's the right play. We're taking the Magic laying the 6 as our first selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Philadelphia 76ers in Washington taking on the Washington Wizards. Sixers are laying 1.5 points, and the total is 225. We faded the Sixers plenty this season, but recently the books have been pricing them with some value. We cashed taking the points with them in their last 3 games in a row. I don't know if they have a huge edge here, but the Wizards are back in tank mode. They got aired out in their last 3 straight, and the Sixers are hungry for a win after losing their last 12 straight. Quentin Grimes drops 30, and the Sixers probably win this one by something like 5 points. We're taking the Sixers on the money line. You can find it for around minus 120 odds as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Charlotte Hornets in Toronto taking on the Toronto Raptors. Raptors are laying 9.5 points, and the total is 219.5. The Hornets come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Charlotte to Toronto. This is obviously not a good spot for the Hornets flying into Canada on no rest, but they are the slightly healthier team. Of course, no LaMelo, but the rest of their squad is active. The Raptors are still banged up. Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl are questionable, so I do want to see if they go, but I don't see this Raptors squad as double-digit favorites. They have been excellent against the spread. I'm not rushing to fade them, but I see this as a spot where the Hornets get another sneaky cover. We're taking the Hornets plus the 9.5 points as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Los Angeles Lakers in Dallas taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Lakers are laying 3.5 points, and the total is 229. Game of the night. Luka the Don Doncic back in Dallas against the team who traded him. I expect fireworks. I look at this one similar to the way I looked at that Heat and Warriors game a couple weeks ago. It was the revenge spot for Jimmy, but really the Heat went out there to prove they're more than just one guy. Same goes here. I think Luka does have a big night, but I think the Mavs are determined to prove they're more than just Luka. AD is the best big on the court by a long shot. He is playing. And I think the Mavs win this game. This one's going to come down to the wire, so personally, I want the points in my back pocket, but we're taking the Mavericks plus the 3.5 as our first highlighted selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Miami Heat in Chicago taking on the Chicago Bulls. Heat are laying 1 point, and the total is 226.5. The Bulls come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Cleveland back home to Chicago. They were without Josh Giddey, Kobe White, and Nikola Vucevic last night, and all of those guys are listed as game-time decision for this one. I want to know who's going for the Bulls, but I do think a few guys play. The Heat and Bulls have the exact same record at 36 and 43, so the winner of this game flips the 9th and 10th standings. The Bulls sit in 9th, and I don't think they let the Heat knock them off. Kobe White sat yesterday for rest, likely looking ahead to this spot, and if Giddey or Vucevic go, the Bulls should win this game. We're taking the Bulls on the money line as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Portland Trailblazers in Utah taking on the Utah Jazz. Blazers are laying 6.5 points, and the total is 230.5. Both teams come into this one significantly banged up. For me, I need to know if Denny's playing. Denny Advia and Anthony Simons are both listed as questionable, and if they go, the Blazers win and cover. The Jazz have now gotten aired out in 9 straight, and I don't see why the Blazers don't make it 10. This is one I'm probably staying away from, but I do lean towards the Blazers laying the 6.5 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets in Sacramento taking on the Sacramento Kings. Nuggets are laying 4 points, and the total is 234.5. This is going to be a fun one to watch. This game is important for both sides. If the Nuggets lose this game, they fall to the 7th spot in the West in the play-in. If the Kings lose this game, they potentially fall into the 10th spot in the West. I expect both teams to be locked in. When you think about who these teams are at their best, what comes to mind? Scoring the ball. Neither of these teams are defensive minded, and they're both top 10 in the league in points per game. The Nuggets average 120.7, third most in the league, and the Kings average 116. That would put us around a 236 total, and with both teams playing with something to lose, I think we get over this total. I lean towards the Kings. I think they show up in a big way, but we're taking the Nuggets and Kings over 234.5 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder in Phoenix taking on the Phoenix Suns. Thunder are laying 10 points, and the total is 226.5. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Thunder fly from Oklahoma City to Phoenix, while the Suns remain at home. That Thunder game last night was insane. Luka got ejected, and the Thunder went on a 14-point run in the fourth quarter to get the cover. The Suns, on the other hand, got ran out of their own gym by the Warriors, losing by 38 points. I want to believe the Suns have one more in them. I really do, but now I see it. It's over with. Stick a fork in them. They're done. Devin Booker is their only hope of being competitive, but the Thunder have way too many on-ball defenders for Book to get going. Am I mad at the Suns? Yeah. But is it also the right play? Yes. We're taking the Thunder laying the 10 points as our second highlighted selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the San Antonio Spurs in Golden State taking on the Golden State Warriors. Warriors are laying 16.5 points, and the total is 232. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Warriors fly from Phoenix back home to San Francisco, while the Spurs fly from LA to the Bay. I don't have much for you guys here. The Spurs have been competitive recently. They've covered against the spread in 7 of their last 10 meetings. I'm in no rush to fade the Warriors on the run that they've been on, but the Spurs can lose this one by 12 points. It's a lean. I don't want to lay 17 points on the second leg of a back-to-back, so we're taking the Spurs plus the 16.5 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our last and final matchup of the evening, we have the Houston Rockets in LA taking on the LA Clippers. Clippers are laying 7.5 points, and the total is 219. The Clippers come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home in LA. The Rockets just beat the Warriors and the Thunder back-to-back in dominant fashion. Now you're giving me 7 points in my back pocket? I need it. The Clippers are, of course, the best home team in the league, but the Rockets are running hot. The last time these teams faced was on December 8th of last year, and the Rockets won that one 117-106 in LA. One of the Clippers' 8 losses as home favorites all season. I lean towards the under. I think we see a lot of defense played, but we're taking the Rockets plus the 7.5 as our last and final selection of the evening. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We're now 5-7 on highlighted plays in April, but I won't even say too much. Let's go 2-0 and get back in that win column today. You guys already know I'm looking to make these next 4 days our biggest yet. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, yo! And until the next one, I'm gonna catch y'all. Peace.